everyone. I am doing a take two of this video because the last time I posted this video, the sound was very soft and it was hard to hear. Even when I put my volume all the way up on my computer, I couldn't hear it. So in this video, I want to talk about the lists, as my previous video was, the lists that we have as men and women for what we want in another person, for dating, a relationship, a marriage, whatever it may be. The things we want. And I remember several years back talking to a woman. I was at her house and I sat down with her, and somehow the topic came up of what we were both looking for in another person. And I told her I had a few criteria at the time. It was just a fit, fun, feminine, kind, loving, nurturing woman. And then she showed me her list, which was about 50 different things. That's 50, including being a multimillionaire, making $300,000 a year, being into personal growth, and a host of other things. It was quite eye-opening to see this list. And as I continued on my journey since then, I started to ask women about what was their list, what was their criteria they look for in a man. And many of them had lists with 10, 20, 30, sometimes 50 different items, just like that woman I was at her house many years ago. And I discovered that many women have a long list of requirements or things they want in a man. And so I started to ask men the same thing. What's their list? What are they looking for in a woman? And those men generally had 5 or less items on their list. They wanted a beautiful, kind, loving woman who sees them as a king. There's nothing about money or personal growth and development or a host of other things. No protection, no provisions, no nothing. And it was just interesting to see the stark contrast. But it kind of makes sense to me. It makes sense why, in general, I'm not saying in every case, because it's not always the case. I think a woman who is in the 10% club of women, if you go back and watch my video on the 10% club of women, this is a special class of women that I've discovered along my journey. Women who have transcended the typical things that women do in this world. They actually appreciate vulnerability and a man who shows emotion, and are a much more evolved type of woman. I think these women have shorter lists than the typical woman on this earth does. But I got thinking about the lists that men and women have for each other, because I remember most women along my journey, whether I went on a few dates with them, whether I had a relationship, or whether I just got rejected outright on my first approach to them. And one such woman, I remember I met her at the Harmon's grocery store here in Draper. I saw her glance at me and smile. So that's a good sign if a woman does that and you're walking near her. It's not always a surefire sign that she wants you to talk to her, but it's pretty solid. And I thought she was cute, and so I went up to her and said hello. At the time I was with my daughters and talked to her for a couple minutes. And she seemed interesting. She was cute. So I asked her for her phone number, and she gave me her phone number, not a fake number, her actual number, and I told her my name. And a couple hours after I got home, I texted her and many, many hours later, I got a text back. It was pretty short, and I could tell that she was just trying to avoid me. And so my deduction was that in between the time that she and I met at Harmon's, when she was interested in me when she didn't know much about me, is that she took my name and my phone number and just looked me up online and found my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and everything else. And when she perused me online, decided this guy is nowhere near what I am looking for, and so her attraction disappeared. And it was evident by her very short text response that that was the case. And a week later, I texted her one more time just to see, and I never got a response back. And so my initial hunch was correct. Our bodies are very intuitive. It's not every case your intuition is correct, but I think in most cases your intuition will be correct when you are sensing something about a situation. It's a beautiful gift that we have as humans, our intuition. So, the reason I bring up this woman is because every so often, because I remember everyone from my past, I look her up on Facebook, and she constantly is posting public posts on Facebook. And so she posted a list or a series of paragraphs about what she wanted in a man. And I also have my own list that has evolved over the last decade of what I'm looking for in a woman. And I want to share these two lists with you all. And I'm willing to bet that every single person who is in a relationship or wants a relationship or thinks about what they would want in a partner of some kind or someone they date has some criteria, even if it hasn't been written down or put on paper or, in my case, an electronic document. So let me start with my list. Then I'm going to read her list, which she posted some pictures of. It's like her manifestation vision board list. But I'll start with mine. And as I said, this list has evolved over a decade. I didn't quite know what the right kind of woman was for me when I started my dating journey. So for many years, I went out with a lot of women who were not good for me at all because I didn't know what I didn't know. So here's my list. Jeremy's woman. She is soft, feminine, and kind. That filters a lot of women out, believe it or not. It filters out at least half of women I meet, just that first bullet point alone. She must be an 8 or higher on the look scale in face and have a fit and toned body. A 9 or 10 is preferable but not required. And each one of these bullet points filters more and more women out until I get to the end and I realize that for a woman to match everything on all my list items here will be a true miracle if it happens. Third item on my list, she is very engaging with me in conversation. Our energy flows back and forth. Conversation, verbal conversation is so very important to me. I want to feel engaged with the woman I am with and that we have the ability to verbalize with each other. And to me, that just creates another layer of depth of connection, that ability to verbalize. And that was something I had with Chelsea very much. We could talk for hours upon hours. 5 hours of conversation with her was very easy. And it didn't just happen one time. It's always there every time she and I talked. So I discovered that by being with her. But there are other women even before her that I started to realize that the conversation was just very good. Number 4, there is a look in her eyes when I talk to her, a fixated look that does not deviate and truly wants to listen to my opinions and things I have to say. I began to notice this as I retrospected on the relationships and dating situations that worked out and started to last more than a few dates. When I looked at commonalities amongst those kinds of women, I realized that those women truly looked up to me and wanted to hear what I had to say. And when I spoke, their eyes maintained eye contact. They were not on their phone, and they wanted to hear my opinions and what I had to say. They were fascinated by me. And so I discovered that that's important. Number 5, she must work out regularly. Weights, yoga, you name it. Yoga is a big bonus. It's not a requirement, but it's a huge bonus if a woman's into yoga. But she must take care of her physical body. I take care of my physical body, so I don't think it's too much to ask that a woman I date does the same. Number 6, she eats healthily, as my diet is very strict, and I can't have gluten, sugar, or processed food or I'll feel ill. Most of the time I adhere to this standard, but every once in a while, like a couple days ago, I had some cookies with gluten in them. It had been a long time since I had a cheat meal, and so far I'm not too affected by it. So I think going a long period of time without a cheat meal for me starts to clear my body out, and it gives me room if I want to have a treat, such as some cookies with gluten in them. I still feel pretty good, no joint pain, no major gum issues. And so I think every once in a blue moon I can have a little cheat meal and I won't be too affected. But if I cheat meal all the time, I'm going to start to feel pretty ill regularly. So I need someone who's on board with a diet that's pretty strict and healthy. Number 7, she must see me as her first choice and have what's called a genuine burning desire for me. So I started to realize into 2020, 6 years into my journey, as 2020 was a very pivotal year for me. I made a strong intention to attract a beautiful relationship. And I had 3 girlfriends in the first half of 2020, but they were all bad for me. And the primary reason they were bad for me is because they did not see me as their first choice. That was the primary reason. And so there's always some friction, some difficulty. I could tell something was off. Intimacy was not easy and effortless. And it all comes down to that they didn't see me as their first choice. So my 4th relationship of 2020 was Chelsea, who did see me that way. And all those problems melted away with her, for instance. So I discovered that a woman must see me as her first choice. And if she doesn't, there's going to be problems. There's going to be issues. And I must do everything I can to be that type of guy who is her first choice, keeping myself in shape, continuing to expand my mind, work on my ability to speak at my day job, continuing to progress there, writing about Tesla, investing, making sure I have a strong financial foundation, training in martial arts, doing yoga, lifting weights, and just being a guy that a woman can look up to and see as a king. I can't just sit on my butt and let myself deteriorate and think that's going to be what a woman wants, because the opposite is also true, or the alternative. If a woman's doing that same thing, I won't be interested in her. All right, next item, number 8. She must be in the 10% club of women and value vulnerability, a man who can cry, and appreciate deep and personal conversations. This weeds out most women, unfortunately. If you look at these first 8 items, number 8 weeds out 90% of women. And then from the 10% that are left, there must also be every bullet point I've said, plus the ones I'm about to read. It ends up probably being a 0.0001%-ish of women that will match what I'm looking for. So I know that this is not something that's going to easily happen. but I have faith and a trust that it will one day still, even if that faith and trust is delusional and difficult. So that 10% Club of Women, go back and watch my video on that. Just search 10% Club of Women, Jeremy Noel Johnson, and you'll hear all about what those kind of women are like. They're the most beautiful kinds of souls on this earth. She must have some, number 9, she must have some ambition in her life. Not necessarily a business owner, but something she's passionate about. So she has to have her why for living. If her why is having a family and kids, that's awesome. She wants to be a homemaker and create the most amazing, loving space of a home, and that's her passion in life, and she works hard at that. That's awesome. Or maybe it's something else, making videos, doing yoga, teaching yoga, whatever it is. She can't just be sitting around wasting away, because that is the energy of death, and I can't do that either. Number 10, she must like to go have fun, go out and dance, do yoga, and be playful and silly. As serious as I am, and reflective and philosophical as I am with these videos and what I have to share, I do like to have fun and be silly and act like a kid. It is important to me. I love to boogie, go out dancing, and spin around and enjoy life. Number 11, she must be intelligent and have her life together in all areas, work, finances, health, etc. So this is another important criteria. A woman does not have to be rich. She does not have to have an amazing job, etc. But she at least has to have some measure of discipline and understanding of life and finances and health, so as to not be stressful to be around. And it doesn't mean she doesn't even have to have that much money. She could have hardly any money, but as long as she's responsible with what she has, that's good. Number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Number 12, this is a very important one. She does not diminish me when I'm not at my best or feeling sick, but instead is encouraging of me when I'm down. So I have Lyme disease, autoimmune stuff, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the right thing to call it is at this point in my life. And sometimes that makes life hard. Sometimes I need to sleep in till 10:30 a.m. like I did this morning. Sometimes it just makes life difficult and I need downtime, and I can't be diminished and looked at as being lazy when I have those moments. I work very hard, but sometimes I need to rest. Like this week and a half that I've taken off of work has been amazing. It's been nice to just wake up whenever I want and do what I want during the day. And I've still worked a little bit during this time on my side stuff and these videos. So that's an important one. Number 13, she has worked through her past traumas and is stress-free to be around. So I think we all have traumas. We all have traumas. Things in life that have affected us negatively, that cause us to put up walls, that trigger us. And those traumas and triggers don't need to be gone from the woman I'm interested in, because mine aren't gone. But a recognition of them, the ability to have the self-awareness to see all of them and to have a conversation about them is important. Because with that conversation, awareness can be created and decisions to never, or to work. Decisions can be made to never consciously trigger a trauma or trigger a trauma, because you have the knowledge of what the other person's triggers and traumas are. So at least with that knowledge and understanding, you can form a conscious decision around it. And then the work on those traumas is important. So I could let my traumas of my failures in the past with dating make me very bitter, but instead I have hope still, regardless of the challenges I faced in the past. 13, Let's see, where am I at? 14. She is absolutely supportive of my mission and purpose in life, my writings, books, martial arts, cold approaching, etc. So I'm an explorer in life. I like to experiment. I like to try new things. I like to go on quests when I'm out dancing. If I'm out dancing with one of my friends. One of my friends is awesome. I'll be out dancing and I'll ask her, I'll say, who should I go ask to dance? And it's like a little quest we have, and I'll just go up to whoever she says, even if I'm nervous as hell, and ask her to dance. And it's a fun little quest game where I get to continue to work on my ability to cold approach women, which is still difficult after 10 years. It's not easy to do. Often I will glance and not do it. But the times I do it, I always feel proud of myself. I feel good. So a woman must support my writing about Tesla, any books I write, my martial arts, how hard I work, and it's important. Number 15, we learn and grow together in whatever way makes sense between us, whether it's podcasts, events, conversation, and more. This doesn't mean there's pressure on us to continually level up all the time. I think that kind of pressure is toxic and creates a burden of pressure that's a little too much. It just creates a rat race mentality. But it's important to always stay in communication about whatever thoughts we're having and interests we're having and things to do together, and I think that's important. Let's see, 9, 10, 16. I actually have 19 bullet points here. That's a lot. So let's go to 16. She must be a passionate, generous, and giving lover who loves physical touch. And the reason this one is here is because when I got married, I had that for the first year or two. And then it slowly dwindled away. When I was at the age that my sex drive was the highest, it was difficult to have sex. And now that I'm older and my sex drive is not nearly as high as it was, it's kind of ironic that in the past I've attracted people who wanted that physical touch and were generous and giving lovers. And the irony is now I attracted that when my sex drive isn't as high. But that's still important to me. Someone who is very a generous, giving lover. And I'm the same way. 17, she communicates exceptionally and is never dismissive of me or any conversation we are having or need to have. So I have experienced with women just noticing when I was interested in talking to them, saying, hey, do you have a few minutes to talk? And seeing and being dismissed with a maybe later, without any kind of reason given. So if a woman said that and said, maybe later, right now I'm really trying to process something and it's difficult, but I would like to later on, that kind of a response is okay. But a woman who just says, maybe later, or give me a minute, but never follows up, it's an immediate red flag to me. It's an immediate, they're out. And because it doesn't take much effort to be considerate of someone. I'm the same way. I'll be very considerate of someone if they want to talk to me or something they want to share. Even if I'm busy in the moment, I'll say, I'd love to hear about it. How about 6 p.m. tonight? If I'm really busy, I'll say, here's the time we can talk about it. Number 18, she is honest and has integrity. That's super important to me. I've dealt with dishonest, manipulative, and secretive women in the past who are not open about what's going on, and I will discover all of it without them telling me, and that's an immediate that kind of woman or man. Men who are not honest and don't have integrity are a scourge of the earth, men and women who are dishonest and lack integrity, scourges of the earth. Number 19, She has kept her body clean and whole and has not had sex with a lot of men. This one is important to me because if someone has sex with a lot of people, it makes it harder for them to pair bond, it's called, or to truly form closeness with another. It's not always the case. But to me, the best relationships I've had with women were those women who have not had sex with a lot of men, like 10 or less in their life. So those are my 19. It's kind of a long list. I think it's a pretty long list and will be difficult for any one woman to match all of those criteria. I also think about what will I do in return. All of these, most of these, I can be that for a woman, and so I don't think it's too much to ask for a woman to be that for me. So let's look at this woman's list next and see the contrast in how this woman thinks versus me. I know that this woman found out stuff about me online. It's the only thing that makes sense to me, and said, this guy does not match at all what I want. But she was interested in me probably because she saw that I was tall and good looking, and so that initial door opening happened. But it takes a lot more than that initial door opening to get further than an initial conversation with a woman. So let's look at her list that she posted publicly, and I'll talk about it, and I'll also share why I think she was not interested in me and ghosted me. So first, her list. I crave rest, snuggles by the fireplace, dancing and touching and being swept into all textures of love, connection and playfulness. I yearn to melt into devotion to a man who inspires me, impresses me, who has a mission that's perfectly complemented by me being at his side. I crave being wholly accepted in my true nature, my intensity, my badassery, my wanderlust, and my homey affection. I long to cook together, to dance in the kitchen and sing and smack each other's butts in passing, to be swept into his arms and dipped in passionate play. I get to feel cherished, chosen, honored. I get to admire and respect him, to feel safe, to feel turned on, connected, witnessed, and adored. I get to feel profoundly met, understood, given the benefit of the doubt, respected. I get to give my heart openly, intensely, powerfully. I get to know the most gorgeous and epic love at him, full force, unrestrained, free. I get to watch him fall in love with me so intensely it makes me ache with the power of it. I get to be well fucked over and over, bodies trembling and nourished, and aching for each other, ever reaching to close the distance between us. I get to lower my guard as he reveals himself to be all in, fully present, fully expressed, fully ready to champion my heart, my devotion, and my vulnerability. I get to watch him open to me bravely, confidently, stepping into his full truth, his full expression, all the while attuning to each other, honoring each other's needs, boundaries, and desires, every bit as much as we honor and reveal our own. I get to unwrap and discover him bit by glorious bit, falling in love with the light and dark of him, feeling deep reverence for his journey, his growth, and his heart. I get to look at him with wonder, so enchanted and grateful for every heartbreak and lesson that aligned me to his path, that shaped me into the woman who is worthy of his devotion, loyalty, and connection. I get to fiercely guard his heart, to build his confidence, inspire his greatness, protect and nurture his tenderness, and call for his potential and expansion. We get to grow together, to push and pull each other into greatness, into self-care, into love, into rest and peace, into adventure and discovery. We get to motivate each other to be healthy, to live lives of authenticity and intensity, to live full out, to dare more bravely for the encouragement we offer each other. So that is her list of things, paragraphs. Her list is much more descriptive than mine. It's much more verbally descriptive and talks about the experience she's having with the man, the kind of man she wants. What's very interesting about her list is that a lot of her list resonates with me. A lot of it is good. I think she has a good list. All of it is good. But I can also see where I fall short on her list. And so in my mind, I picture the kind of man she's looking for. And when she went to my social media and saw that I'm just a regular guy, posting a few pictures of my martial arts and my Tesla. Actually, I didn't have a Tesla at the time. She looked at my social media. So she probably just saw a regular guy with a regular job. Or at least I think that was her opinion of me once she looked at me online. She saw that I didn't have a huge following, and so I most likely just blended into all the other guys that she sees as meh to her. I think the kind of guy she's looking for is when she sees his social media profile, he's on a stage speaking, or he's some kind of business owner, or doing something where there's tons of people engaged with him, some kind of CEO, entrepreneur, or respected speaker or leader that has oodles of followers, is charismatic, and that she gets to look up to him as more than she is. She wants that. And I don't think she could look up to me when she found me on social media, and it turned her off greatly. When I look at her paragraphs here, and she talks about a man she wants to melt into devotion to, who inspires her and impresses her, I don't think she found my online presence impressive at all. I think she was completely turned off by my regular or humble nature, or whatever you want to call it. So she wants someone that's a strong leader, charismatic, and I don't meet that. I don't. But much of everything else that she said profoundly resonates with me. To feel respect, to feel safe, to be vulnerable, to have a very strong and full and present love, to open up to each other, and to respect my journey and growth that has happened. That's a big one for me, is even though I didn't have it on my list, is I want a woman who sees my journey and me overcoming my illnesses, my back surgeries, all the heartbreaks I've had, all the failures I've had, my ability to invest in Tesla and hold and not be emotionally affected, and to, I believe, one day I'll reap great reward for that. A woman who respects and honors that journey would be amazing. I also don't think I would. I think I would fall short in how much she wants to grow together. I think growing together is important, but I think her growth that she wants with someone is a growth on steroids, to push each other into greatness and adventure and discovery. I think her need for constant growth would drain me, and I would never live up to what she wants to experience. And I don't think I have the sex drive to, what did she say, to be well fucked over and over. Not without pills. I would need daily pills to give her what she needs in that area, which I don't have a problem doing. I just think that unless I am with a woman that I truly feel safe with, I don't think I can give that aspect like she wants. So to me, I've deduced where I think I fall short in her list, even though her list was made years after I met her that one time. I think she probably had an idea of some of these things even at the time she met me. So every woman who rejects me, I always do a retrospective. I say, why did that happen? And generally it comes down to just a few things. One is I am not their first choice. I am not a strong leader. I don't have an abundance of wealth yet. I'm not some CEO or entrepreneur, and I'm not the alpha type. I'm more of a Sigma guy. I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. And I think a lot of women can sense that lack of alphaness on me. And they're turned off by that too. So I think those are the primary reasons women reject me: my lack of assertiveness, not being everything that they want as far as my status goes in life. I think my looks and height are always what a woman wants. So I don't think I was blessed, and I was blessed in that area, but there's a lot more that's required than just that. That opens doors for me, but it doesn't. There's a lot more doors or gates to go through than that. So that's my list. That's her list. Do you have a list? Do you care? I know some of you could just care less about dating, and some of you have partners or spouses right now. So I'm curious for all of you, if you made it 36 minutes into this video. Oh my gosh. This video's 36 minutes. If you made it this far in the video, kudos, fist bump. I appreciate you watching this. I've enjoyed this discussion and sharing about the lists that men and women have. Do you have a list? If you're single and you're trying to date, do you have a list for the man or woman you are looking for? If you are in a relationship, married or otherwise, what do you like about your partner? What are some things that they have that match what you're looking for? Or do you even have a list? Do you even see things that way? One of the negatives to having lists like this is it puts a lot of pressure on someone else to perform and be a certain way. It certainly does. It's like, how can someone live up to these unrealistic, crazy standards? Is certainly a valid argument. These lists filter so many people out. And even if someone matches the list, what happens if they get sick or hurt or injured or have an off day or an off week or an off month or an off year, and they're suddenly not meeting the list? That can cause pressure and attraction to disappear. So the con of having lists like this is it puts a lot of pressure on someone. But the pro is you filter out people who don't match your energy, your vibration, your standards, etc. All things in life have pros and cons. So curious to hear what your lists are if you have them. Thanks for watching here, this video of 38 minutes and talking about the lists men and women have for each other. Hopefully the sound is good. I'm going to watch this video now, and if the sound is good, I will post it. So namaste. See you in the next video.